Alright then, well, this Plymouth back there has got a leaky transmission. It's the one I put in about 3 months ago, so we got to find out why. Okay, let's go under here, look and see what we got. This is our automatic transmission that we put in here about 3 months ago, I guess it was now. And see too well, but this is the bottom of it. There's the engine, bell housing, transmission pan, and bolts in the transmission pan, and you can see the whole thing down here is wet, and there's a big puddle on the driveway, so it's leaking obviously. And come to find out, I'll get the light over here, see what we're looking at. It's got 2 leaks, looks like, instead of just one. I was disappointed. I thought I was going to be disappointed and just find 1 leak, but lucky for me, there's 2. Now, looking at the first leak, you can look at the right there at that lip on that pan and the pan gasket. It's wet, so obviously it's weeping fluid through the rubber pan gasket for reasons unknown. It didn't look like this pan had ever been off when I had taken this out and taken it apart and put new gaskets and everything in it, but the transmission seemed to have the magical ability to start leaking even if you take the pan off once. So the pan's may be warped, who knows, but obviously it's gonna have to come off and see what's going on with that and put a new gasket on it and maybe take some more extreme measures to seal it up. So I'll have to do that. And then the leak there is, that's the, what I call the bullet for the speedo gear. It's just the insert, and that thing has a rubber O-ring around the outside of it, so obviously the rubber O-ring decided it wasn't going to seal anymore, I suppose. So not so much worried about that one. If I can find an O-ring, I'll go ahead and pick it up and put it on. If not, we'll just kind of watch that one. But I was looking around, get you turned around here a little bit. I was looking around closer and I was making sure I could see where it wasn't leaking from, and it's not leaking from the selector shaft seal, which is under all that contraption in the middle right there. It's not leaking from the lines. It's not leaking out of the bell housing, and it's not. Turn you one more time here. I don't drop you. And it's not leaking out of the tail shaft. So that's just narrowed it down to the pan. And so anyway, I guess I'll. Oh yeah, we'll go around and look on the other side just to make sure it's not leaking out of the filler tube. I think it is though. You never know. Better safe than sorry. So, let's see, get the light in. Oh, oops. Okay, there's the filler tube, and as you can see, it's bone dry, so it's not leaking there. Those are little bolts right there. Those are pressure, where you take pressure readings if you ever start having transmission problems. You take a pressure reading, see what the transmission is doing. But I'm sure this is just going to be a cut and ride case of just a stupid rubber seal, rubber gasket that ain't doing its job. So I'll get my pan out and dump the fluid out of this thing and change it. So I'll catch up with you when we get further along. Yeah, this is why the good Lord invented drain plugs. Now I know what you're saying. Oh, it looks like a drain plug right there. Well, it is and it isn't. That was where, when this transmission was in the junkyard, they have to knock a hole in the pan, any kind of, like an oil pan or a transmission pan, and drain out the fluids, whatever will come out. And then they just stick a little plastic stopper up in there. So it ended up that the transmission pan had a hole in it. So my solution The problem is the best way I could have handled it is just put a drain plug kit in it, but I was kind of in a hurry, so I just went ahead and took a bolt and put in there and put some JB weld around it, and that was my solution. So, because these things really, you know, I didn't anticipate having to take it back off again anyway, and these things run, they don't even, under normal service, Mopar doesn't even give a transmission service schedule on these. That's how good of a transmission they are. So, but anyway, it is what it is, and I'm getting this drained out into the pan. And I was going to try to save my fluid, but it's not really that much fluid, and I'm all the time having to play pan to go around with my drain pans. I've got one good one I use for antifreeze, and I've got a couple other ratty ones I just use for this stuff. And you know, as soon as I try to put a bag in it and try to pour it back into something, I'm going to end up spilling it. So that's the heck with it. I'll just replace it. It costs me a little money, but for now, I'm going to go ahead and get these bolts the rest of the way out and see if I can dump the rest of this fluid out without dousing myself up to the elbows with it. So then we'll take a look at that old pan there. Okay, well, somebody evidently didn't clean the transmission pan well enough when they put it back together, and I guess that somebody's me, because I took it off and I noticed I'd left a whole bunch of rusty looking debris type stuff around through here, and that just ain't gonna get it with a rubber gasket. So cork's a little bit more forgiving, but that was a shoddy job I did. I can feel it right there too, so that will definitely leak. So I guess I'll do a do-over on this. Now that is clean. I should have done it this good in the first place. Okay, well, I am not normally a proponent of putting any kind of sealant on a transmission pan, but in this case I found that this yellow booger snot seals very well. It's 3M, and I'm just not very fond of the idea of this thing leaking again. So I've got the pan real clean, and I've got that surface is flat, and I've got the transmission flange itself is nice and clean. So got that going, letting it tack up, and I've got another new transmission pan gasket. This is kind of a composite type of a gasket, so hopefully things will seal up better this time around. Now, if you ever buy a transmission kit for these filter kit, you'll notice you get two gaskets but one filter. It's because an A727 and an A904 use the same filter but different gaskets. You'll always know a 904 pan because 904 is the one that's got the two holes in the corner real close together. It's about 1.5 inches apart right there, so that's why you know it. Okay, let's get this together. Okay, what we're doing now is we're just topping up the transmission fluid, and just keep in mind on these old torque flight transmissions that you check the fluid with it in neutral, running, and you get your correct reading with it hot. So there you go. We'll put it up here for you.